Hey girl, hey, it's Saturday morning, it's 10 o'clock. What the heck? It's Sunday morning. All right, let's try that again. Hey girl, hey, it's Sunday morning, it's 10 o'clock, the birds are chirping, it feels great, and I feel like doing a makeup and yap. So let's do that. Life has been absolutely insane. If you've been keeping up with me on my other social media accounts, then you know that I just returned back to California after vacationing for a week in my hometown. And even though I'm using the term vacationing, I actually just went home for my graduation ceremony. And I had so much fun. I feel like this year has been particularly stressful for me, and I was well overdue for a vacation, especially with everything that I have going on in my life at the moment. I can't remember if I mentioned it here or on TikTok, but I'm at a place in my work where I have so much responsibility on my plate at all times, and it feels like I can't shunt anything. And then, as the old saying goes, if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. And I am having a bit of a hard time breaking out what is a true priority and what is a CPI that we can wait to do until later. In the midst of all of that, I am still dual hatting, which is just a fancy way of saying I have 2 jobs, really 3 now, instead of 1. All of that to say, I needed that vacation real bad. And I'm glad that I decided to go home, because at first I was like, do you really need to go home? Do you really need to invest that much money into, a few minutes of, into just a few minutes to be able to say that you walk the stage? And I was really going back and forth with myself about it. And my wife was like, no, absolutely not. You're going. We worked way too hard. You didn't get to walk during COVID. We're going. Nice try. And I'm really glad that she encouraged me to go, because it really was such a nice ceremony and such a nice opportunity to celebrate that accomplishment. To be honest with you, I get imposter syndrome really, really bad. And so I never really imagined myself finishing my master's degree, even though I had started it. And I know that probably sounds crazy, but there are just certain milestones in my life that I never really saw myself reaching. I always knew that I would get my bachelor's degree. That was always a part of my plan from a very, 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 very young age. I'm a first generation college student. And so that's something that I knew that I really, really wanted for myself. But my master's degree, in my brain, I was like, no, that's for really, really smart people. And if you ask any of my friends or family, they can tell you I don't necessarily consider myself smart. And that is not a dig on myself. That is not me practicing negative self-talk. I just genuinely don't consider myself smart. And I think it's because, to me, smart is such a broad and ambiguous term. And the way that I metabolize it is probably different than the way other people metabolize it. And I just don't consider myself to have some hyper intelligence. I don't think that's what it is. I think that I'm a really hard worker, and that gets me places. But I feel like I know smart people, and I just don't feel like I'm in that category. But I know that sounds probably taboo to some people. So we went home for an entire week, and even though I went into it very open-minded, you know what? I'm not gonna do what I normally do and create this itinerary where I have something to do every single day. I went into it I don't want to do that this time, because I'm really tired and I really want to just go with the flow. And if I get up one day and I don't have anything to do, that's fine. This was also the first time that my wife came home with me since we've moved out here to California. The last time I went home was in March to present my capstone project. And that was such a cool opportunity as well, because I did most of my program online, with the exception of my internship and then my capstone presentation. So I probably could have found a way to not go home. I probably could have explained my situation, especially as an exclusively online student, and just explained, hey, I don't live here. I probably could have said, hey, I don't live here, and they probably would have created accommodations for me to be able to present virtually in some capacity. But I was just like, you know what? I haven't been home since like July. So let me just go ahead and pre-plan to go home for this trip. I'll present my capstone. It was a really quick turnaround. It was actually like a weekend trip. I think I got there on a Friday, and then I came back to California on Sunday. But I was able to like sneak in a couple of visits. So like seeing my mom, my sisters, my brothers, my best friend, my dad. Like I was able to sneak a couple of extra visits in during that time. And it was also just a really, really cool reminder of where I came from, because if you don't already know this about me, I actually lived most of my life in Augusta, Georgia. We moved there in the year 2000 because that's when my dad retired from active duty, and we stayed there. I mean, my parents have stayed there to this day, and I moved away when I commissioned 2 years ago. All right, so I got here early enough to get to my project presentation on time and take a trip down memory lane. So let's go. The craziest part is that I spent so much time in this area of town, and now it looks completely different. I literally graduated high school from here, and you can tell that I'm walking quite literally on foot, because the college that I went to is 10 minutes away by walking. It's literally down the street from the high school that I graduated from. So that's where I went for undergrad. And then I graduated, got a job in this same area. So there's a huge chunk of my life that I spent just down here. And it's insane because it feels completely different. And I'm just looking around at all the buildings that have been torn down or renovated, or new management, new leadership. It's crazy. It's crazy. So again, when I said I graduated high school here, the college that I went to is literally right here, walking distance. So that was a really cool opportunity, a really big full circle moment. Like, man, this city has given me so much, and just to be able to reflect and say, this is where I started and this is where I am now. And I really am proud of myself for what I've been able to accomplish. I don't want to like get emotional or anything, but you know, sometimes places can hold memories. And so just like being in that moment just meant so much to me, because it has played such a big role in who I am today. Both the positive and the negative experiences have both shaped me into who I am today. One thing about me, I will go on a tangent. So if you're wondering how the heck I got on that topic, I was trying to explain that my wife came home with me this time, and last time she didn't. So saying all that to say, even though I went into it with a very open mind and without an itinerary, there was not one day that I didn't have something to do. When I first touched down, I went to see my mom's side of the family. So I had a chance to see my sisters, my brother, my nieces, and my nephews. And the next day I had to go get my hair done. And that was a whole fiasco in itself. If you follow me on TikTok, then you know my original flight got canceled. And the only thing that I had pre-scheduled before I came out there was a hair appointment, because I thought that I was gonna be Little Miss DIY Queen. And when I started all of my vacation prep, I was like, I'm gonna do my own nails, I'm gonna do my own hair, obviously I'm gonna pack my stuff, I'm gonna do like this really elaborate like skincare mask to try prep for the trip. Girl, we got to the final countdown. I ended up going to the nail salon. Yeah, And then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing my hair. I made a hair appointment, and then we went to the airport. Get this. We went to the airport on Friday. We checked our bags in, and then our flight got canceled. I honestly blame myself because I know that I really need to stop playing with these cheap airlines. Every time I pick one of these cheap airline flights, they come with some type of crazy background story about how something went wrong. When I went home in March, we had to do an emergency landing in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and that completely derailed the timeline of the trip, and I was so exhausted when it was time for me to do my capstone. When we went home this time, the flight got canceled, and the next available flight wasn't until the following evening at like 10 o'clock. Girl. So I ended up frantically texting my hairstylist because I picked a hairstylist that was in Atlanta. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't really get my hair done that much. So I was already like really anxious and nervous going into it. And I'm like, oh Lord, like she gonna cancel. I was like, she's gonna cancel on me, and I don't know who the heck is gonna do my hair. Because it was like the end of the month, and I noticed, like, I know I've been off the scene of like hairstylists or service providers in general, but I noticed that a lot of service providers open their books at the beginning of the month, and then everything gets filled up. And so it was so difficult for me to even find somebody to do like an end of month appointment in general. So I was like, Lord, if this lady cancels my appointment, I don't know who's gonna do my hair. And then on top of that, I was like, if she canceled my appointment, Style Seed is gonna charge me for 50% of the service. So I'm gonna end up coming out of pocket twice, and I don't even play like that. So I was panicking. I was probably texting her at midnight. Everything ended up working out. She was just like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like, things happen. My hairstylist was super sweet. I would definitely go back to her again. But she was super accommodating. She rescheduled me for another day when I would actually be in town. I was like, oh, thank you, God. And when I got to my hair appointment, she was super sweet. So that ended up working itself out. But it was crazy for a minute there. And then after I got my hair done, the next day I ended up going to lunch with my dad. Oh, actually, I think I ended up bringing lunch over. Something like that. I ended up going to see my dad and my sister and my nieces. And that was, of course, really sweet. I love seeing my nieces, and I feel like my nieces and my nephews, of course, but I just feel like they're all growing up so fast. So every time I have an opportunity to see them, I'm gonna take it, because that's one of the only things that I think I don't like about being in the military. And it's specific to this assignment, is that I'm so far away from home. And I feel like I miss out on so much, so many of the little things, like honors day. My nephew went to prom, you know, he's got his graduation in a couple of weeks, and it's just so expensive to fly home that I can't make it home for all of those milestone events. And then the next day after I saw my dad, it was actually graduation day. Graduation day, I was super anxious, so overwhelmed and nervous. I think I hear an intruder. It is an intruder. Sorry about that. But graduation day, it went really well. I've learned that for me, whenever it's like a really significant like milestone, like a really important day, I don't even play. Let me tell you, I'll get up and start getting ready at 8:30. It didn't start until 4. I got ready at 8:30, because by the time you completely do your hair and your makeup and you get dressed and you realize that you forgot your pantyhose, and you run out and you grab those, and oh wait, I don't have any hairspray. Like, by the time everything that can go wrong goes wrong, it's time for the event to start. So that's just my little tidbit life hack. But the ceremony was really nice. It was really, really long. But I was really glad that I came. My parents were able to come and support. Obviously, my wife was able to come to support. And then one of my best friends actually came in from out of town to attend a graduation as well. So that was a really good time. And then the next day we ended up going just to have like a little bit of a fun, relaxing day after such a hectic and sporadic week. Friday was one of the only days that we had where we didn't have something actually scheduled to do. So we took that opportunity to just like go to the movies, and then we ended up going out with my best friend and her husband. I think we ended up going to like dinner at this really, really, really good restaurant. I would definitely go back. And then after that, we went to Dave & Buster's, and I think we ended up getting home at like 2 a.m. And then after that, it was time to head back. So it was overall like such a great trip. I had such an amazing time. And then I came back home, and it was kind of like all the stress, just like I just hit resume on all of the stress. You know how it is when you come back to work after being on leave, and there's a million emails in your mailbox, and all of them need a response by yesterday. So I've been spending this last week just playing catch up on all of those things and taskers and do outs, and it's been a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a lot. I'm really trying to pace myself and get a good stride and something that's more sustainable, because all of this like sporadic ripping and running is not, it's very tiring and it's not fun. What is crazy to me though is how quickly this year is going. I can't believe we're already 6 months into 2025. So many of the milestones that I was looking forward to are now behind me. And I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, like you're starting to check things off of your big long-term like SMART goals list. It's time for me to regroup and dream new dreams and figure out how I want to shape this next quarter or these next 6 months. Let's just say shape the next 6 months of my life. Like what I really want to see happening in the next 6 months. That's a little heavy for a Sunday morning. But I did carve out some time next weekend just to sit down and look at like my vision board and probably modify it to see what else I have on the horizon. So crazy and so exciting, but I would be lying if I said that I wasn't overwhelmed. But I do feel like things are starting to really work themselves out and life is getting really good. I'll just keep trying to tell myself that this time next year, none of this is even gonna matter. It is true. Like a lot of the worries and challenges that I have right now are going to work themselves out. And so I'm trying to keep reminding myself of that and stay in that state of mind. But thank you guys so much for sitting down and yapping with me today. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And if you're not already, definitely feel free to follow me on TikTok. There I post a lot of short form content and I can kind of post that in real time. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely look for the link down in the description box below. Bye, girl.